We must stop denying the existence of these things. We must stop saying that there are no CHITAURI, that there are no aliens, that there are no Illuminati. There are. I could tell you for hours. For example, do you know what we Zulu people call a person? A very, very clever person, a very, very wise person, a person who has received light from God. We call him umkhanyiselwa. In other words, the illuminated one. Khanyisa means to light up something, and umkhanyiselwa is somebody who has been lighted up by the gods. So you say Illuminati, I say umkhanyiselwa. It's the same thing.
And my research very clearly, and again, you're right, there's tremendous denial of this is the fact. Even among conspiracy researchers, there's tremendous denial that the CHITAURI, the reptilians, and the Illuminati are actually the same thing.
Exactly, sir. Because amongst my people, we say that when two CHITAURI are challenging each other for power, and they must fight a duel with their terrible eyes, they start glowing like fishes deep in the sea, and the faster they glow, the angrier they are said to be. Now that is why there are certain parts of Africa where people are advised not to walk at night, because that is where the CHITAURI often fight. And one of these parts of Africa, sir, is a remarkable place called the Mountains of the Round Rocks, Matopo, wrongly pronounced Matopo, in Zimbabwe. These hills are really not remarkable in themselves. These hills are said to be the one place in Africa where the CHITAURI have been seen. And these hills is where Cecil John Rhodes lies buried, but there is more. You must visit this place at one time. Amongst the rocks on the Matopo Mountains, you find a species of lizard which you don't find anywhere in Africa or the world. A species of lizard which responds to the call of a human being. When I first arrived in 1958 in the land called Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, I found an African there who was a tourist attraction. He was a game warden who made strange sounds calling out. And as he called out, these strange lizards, the only type of lizard anywhere on earth which responds to the human voice, used to come out of cracks and out of holes in the ground and to gather around this African. And it was this African game warden who told me that the sounds he is making are not just noise. They are the speech of the CHITAURI star gods.
Isn't it a staggering coincidence that Cecil Rhodes, one of the greatest Illuminati frontmen, perhaps certainly of modern times, who did so much to imprison Africa, should choose to be buried at the point where this is all going on?
You see, sir, Cecil John Rhodes went his way into the hearts of Africans, and in their despair, wise men of the Mashona people, wise men of Makebele people, tried to make Cecil John Rhodes one of them. They told him about the secrets of the Matopo Mountains, that under the Matopo Mountains lies a city of great wisdom, which is the home of the last survivors of the CHITAURI god beings in that part of Africa. And if you go to the Matopo Mountains and you carry a 4-pound hammer and you strike certain parts of that landscape with that hammer, it gives out a hollow sound which shows you that there are caverns deep underground there. There are 2 sets of mountains. There is the Matopo Mountains, and then to the east of Zimbabwe there are the great mountains known as the Inyangani, the Weeping Moon Mountains. There, even now, people disappear without trace. Sometimes a person would disappear for several days and reappear a few days later, not knowing where he had been or where she had been. And white people have disappeared there. Black people in their thousands have disappeared there. It was there that I also went missing for 4 days in 1959 in one of the most traumatic experiences of my life.
What happened?
Well, it's a long story, sir. My teacher, Elizabeth Moyo, had sent me to get a special herb which grows only on the foothills of those mountains. It was just an ordinary day like any other, just beautiful day like this one outside here. And I love the African wilderness. I'm at home in the bush, especially in the days when I was still in good health. I love the animals. I love their smell, and I love the smell of the vegetation. And I was looking for this herb when all of a sudden a bright blue mist fell all around me. It took me some time to react to this strange thing. It was a hot day, and all of a sudden the temperature around me dropped. It was as if I was on the slope of a very cold mountain, but it was a warm day. And then the next moment I was in what appeared to be a metal-lined tunnel, a caving tunnel, and I was lying on what looked like a workbench, a very large workbench of some kind. You know, an iron table which an engineer or somebody working with metal would use for welding and cutting metal upon.